CMS stands for Chicago Manual of Style. And people, this one is wild, and I will tell you why. It is because there are two accepted documentation styles, and you will use a different one depending on what group you belong to or are writing for. For example, there's the Notes Bibliography System, or the NB system, and this is primarily used by people in history, the arts, and the literature people who aren't using MLA. I don't know. And then there's also the author date system, and this is for people in the social sciences who aren't using APA. It's absolutely crazy. So I'll tell you a couple of the differences. So the author date system, which I won't get into too much, is very similar to APA. You use in-text citations, the author's last name and the date after each instance of using a source. And then at the end of the paper, you have a reference list that's also very similar to APA that you put in alphabetical order, and that's it. All right, so that's the author date system. Now, the NB system is quite different. So here is an example paper for CMS with the NB system. I'm going to take you through the cover page really quick. It's very similar for both systems. In fact, I think it's exactly the same for both of these CMS systems. So you have your title at the top, all in capital letters. And then towards the bottom of the page, you have your name, the class name, and then the date. And that's a cover page for either of the CMS systems that you might be using. And then if I take you down through here, you will see that instead of in parentheses an author and a date, you have a little teeny tiny number, superscript, and then a little teeny tiny number, superscript. This one's a 1, that one's a 2. And so they're giving each source their own number. And then at the bottom of the page that these sources are used on, you have a footnote or a footer with the corresponding number and then a full bibliographic citation, kind of similar to what you would see in APA or MLA. And that's at the bottom of every page that you use a source on. So, and it goes all the way down through. You give each source a number and they just go in order of when you used them. And then if you go all the way down to the bottom, you have a bibliography called bibliography, and everything is listed in alphabetical order rather than numerical order, similar to, again, APA and MLA.